Hey guys, I'm Nick and welcome back to the channel. Or if you're new here, please don't forget to subscribe, ring the bell, you know how it works. So this week I'm talking to you about a little bit of Strange New Worlds news. Alex Kurtzman has come out with a few little bits of information about Strange New Worlds. And also, now that we have an air date of October 15th for Star Trek Discovery Season 3, some predictions about some things that I reckon we're likely to see coming up in Discovery Season 3. So let's get into it. So while being interviewed recently in regards to his Emmy nomination for the Star Trek short treks, Alex Kurtzman came out with a few little bits of information to reiterate what we can expect from Star Trek Strange New Worlds. Even though the episodes of Strange New Worlds would be standalone stories, the typical kind of Planet of the Week, Alien of the Week kind of style storytelling that we are used to from Next Generation and the original series, that he wanted to reiterate that there would be emotional serialization in the stories. There were a lot of episodes in Next Generation, and I remember where something quite traumatic would happen or significant would happen in the storytelling, and then at the end of that episode, it would almost be as if the reset button was pushed, and then the next week's episode, it wouldn't be referenced. There would be no ongoing repercussions of what happened in an episode. A good example, I think, is Chain of Command in Next Generation, where Picard underwent that huge trauma where he was captured and tortured by the Cardassians, and then once that episode had played out, there wasn't kind of any ongoing trauma or repercussions or anything like that from that pretty significant event. So I think even though our stories will be self-contained in Strange New Worlds, I think it's good to see that the emotional impact of what happens in these stories will be ongoing and will be referenced in forthcoming episodes. Alex Kurtzman also went on to say that there would be two-parters, so we're not going to just have only standalone episodes, that there would be episodes that are double-parters, much like Next Generation with the unification and best of both worlds. But most of our storytelling within that series will be standalone episodes with emotional serialization. The other interesting thing that he wanted to kind of point out, which would be kind of a very unique aspect of storytelling in Strange New Worlds, was that because Pike has found out in the Season 2 of Discovery that he's going to be catastrophically injured in this accident in around, I think it's 2266, after he's handed over the reins of the Enterprise to Kirk, is where this catastrophic accident happens on a training ship where he's exposed to radiation and then ends up spending the rest of his years in this wheelchair, unable to communicate apart from a series of bleeps and whatnot for yes and no. So he's probably going to end up a bit like, for those of you who watch Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul, Hector Salamanca. The interesting part of the storytelling I think is going to be about this is now that he knows what's going to happen to him and where he's going to end up, how he's going to conduct himself in a positive way. So Pike knows he's kind of only really got maybe around 7 years before this accident happens. So it'd be very interesting to see how he kind of conducts himself and his crew and his ship. The only other example I can think of where this has happened in a show was in Babylon 5, where Sheridan was resurrected and knew he only had 10 years of life left. So it is an interesting dynamic when the hero knows his days are numbered. Alex Kurtzman has confirmed that Season 1 of Strange New Worlds will kick off where Discovery Season 2 left off. Strange New Worlds is looking like it's going to be 10 episodes for Season 1, and that those 10 episodes have also been broken by the writing staff, so they've got a pretty clear direction as to where the writing's going to go, and also that filming for Strange New Worlds is going to be starting in 2021. Hopefully early 2021, if the world can get everything under control with the whole pandemic situation and everything, things will be starting filming and whatnot probably early 2021. Hopefully for maybe a late 2021 release. So next up, I've got some predictions for you about Star Trek Discovery Season 3. So now we know when the show is airing. Thank God, we waited for so long. October 15 now, so once Lower Decks is finished, we're on to Discovery Season 3. I thought I'd go through a few little bits and pieces that we've seen from trailers and we've seen from publicity stills and so forth from Discovery, and kind of speculate as to what I reckon are some predictions that we might end up seeing in Season 3 of Discovery. We've got some new production stills where we've seen some new look comm badges or the new Starfleet insignia on a couple of our characters. There's an image that came out not that long ago which showed the two doctors from Discovery wearing their uniforms with these new comm badges on them. Oval shape in design, and they've got I think the Star Trek Delta built into that oval shaped design, and then the rank, I believe, are kind of notches in the side of the badge there. So whether these new Starfleet emblems are reminiscent of how things are in the 31st century, or whether this is just some new kind of design that Discovery does by themselves, we're yet to find out. It's an interesting design. The one thing I'm not so keen on in these insignias is the Starfleet Delta kind of gets a bit lost. It just kind of plays as an oval shape. You sort of can't clearly see that arrowhead design on the Delta, which I think we've kind of always been able to see that Starfleet arrowhead Delta design. It's not clear whether these are comm badge style communicators, but I would say there's probably a fairly good chance we're going into the future that that they're going to perhaps switch these insignias to the comm badge style ones that we know and love from Next Generation and beyond. Now, the other thing we see in a few of these production stills and so forth is this other device, which a lot of their characters are wearing. It's a device with, it looks like it's got 3 buttons on it. Now, my prediction for this device is that it's either going to be a combination device, so whether it's going to be a communicator, a personal shield, maybe it's going to be a site-to-site transport. It seems a little bit larger and a little bit more perhaps technical than your typical just, communicator badge. The fact that it has 3 buttons on it, I think maybe might indicate it has more than one use. At least one of these aspects is possibly going to be the case. So that's my prediction for these new devices that our characters are wearing in Season 3 of Discovery. Now, the other thing which I've observed from our various different production stills and trailers for Discovery Season 3 is the fact that we've got a couple of shots of not only some Trill characters. We've also got a shot of Burnham in what looks very, very similar to the Trill caves with the milky pools that Jadzia Dax, I think there was an episode of DS9, which I think was Equilibrium, where Dax, I think, was kind of having some flashbacks of a former host that had been kind of suppressed or covered up. And we saw the Trill caves where the symbionts live on Trill. I reckon looking at these production shots here with Burnham in these caves, I reckon there's a pretty good chance that these caves are the ones we saw in this DS9 episode of Equilibrium. As part of this Trill aspect of Discovery Season 3, I'm going to predict that we're going to get to see Dax, or whoever is the latest Dax host. Obviously, we're 900 years into the future. Esri will be long dead, but that Dax symbiont gets passed along to different hosts. I'm going to predict that what a better way of bridging the past to the future than through a character we already know and that has gone through Starfleet and gone through the Federation and all that sort of thing in the form of Dax. Now, I believe there's going to be an addition of a new character in Season 3 of Discovery called Adira. My understanding is this character is going to be non-binary. The term non-binary is basically a person who simply identifies with a gender that is not necessarily male or female. This character is going to be apparently very intelligent, very self-reliant, very self-confident, which sounds very interesting. But I know there's going to be people out there that are going to, jump on the bandwagon and sort of say, Star Trek is becoming just a place, for people to push their politically correct or woke, agendas and all this sort of stuff. And I'm sure it's going to be a divisive addition to the show. Look, I'm all for it. I've always been all for diversity in Star Trek. Star Trek has always been about diversity, way back to the original series. I think people forget that, from Uhura to Sulu to Chekhov, where you've got, a black woman serving on the bridge of, the Federation flagship. You've got a Russian, you've got an Asian man. There's always been diversity in Star Trek. And don't forget, there was even a non-binary character in an episode of Next Generation, in the episode The Outcast. And now, of course, that we're seeing more, gay and lesbian characters on Star Trek, that's all fine. And I've got no issue whatsoever with seeing a non-binary character on the show, just providing it's done in a way that's not too soapboxy. Let's just have the character in the show, make them be a good character, make them be interesting and engaging and a good addition to the cast without having the need to kind of scream an agenda from a soapbox sort of thing. If that's the case, I'm completely all for it, and I support that being as part of the show. But I think it's going to be a bit of a controversial one, because I know there's going to be people out there who run a bit more maybe negative entertainment channels that do like to tear these sort of things apart. Even though I think it's going to be an interesting addition to the show, I certainly think it's going to come with an element of controversy. So what do you guys think of these new comm badges? Do you like the look of them? Do you maybe not like the look of them? Let me know what your thoughts are. And what do you think about this new character of Adira, if that is in fact her or his or her, they, their name? Do you support this kind of new character being introduced to the show? What are your thoughts on this? And do you think we are going to get to see the new Dax host in Season 3 of Discovery? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. As always, guys, please don't forget to subscribe and share this video with your friends. As always, I have some really cool t-shirt designs in the merchandise section. The link is in the description below. Please help support the channel as best you can by taking a look at those for me. And I will see you guys next time for my next review.